So I'm going to explain how to automate the summary statistics and box plots for your data. Here I have my data, that's the call center dataset. So I'm going to generate the summary statistics for the columns tenure, calls handle, HT, queue time, and customer satisfaction. So that's a total of 5 columns. So first thing is we have to make buttons. So let's go on to the developer option and click insert and then find the button. It's here. Then click. Now let's draw the button. Let's just put it a little bit above our table here. So it's gonna prompt you to choose the macro that you want to link on it. So here I already created my summary statistics and my box plot macro. So first is we're gonna link our summary statistics. Click OK. So it says button 4. Well, we have to edit that first. Alright. Now let's see if this button is working fine. Let's click. It prompts us to choose the range for our data. So let's start with our tenure column. So click tenure column, Control Shift down, click OK, choose the result range. Then click OK. So that is our summary statistics for the tenure column. Now to finalize this, let's put a title. So first I'm going to merge these two cells and then put a title, Summary Statistics. Let's customize it a bit and we're done. Alright, now let's do the other columns. Calls handled, Control Shift down, click OK, choose the result range. Let's copy this title. Alright, now let's go on to AHT. Choose AHT, Control Shift down, click OK, choose the result range, and click OK again. Then copy the title. Next is our queue time. Well, we don't have to choose the AHT in minutes since this is connected to our AHT in seconds. So they will just, although they will not give us the same summary statistics, but in terms of making our box plots later, they will have the same result. I mean, they will have the same presentation. So I don't think that's necessary. Now let's just go on to the average queue time. So let's click the button Summary Statistics again. Choose the average queue time. Then let's choose the result range. Copy the title. And the last one is the customer satisfaction. Click OK. Choose the result range. And copy the title. So let's see if we got 5 summary statistics that's equal to 5 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, now we're done with the summary statistics. Let's go over to our box plot. So we don't have to go to go over the same process like we did when we inserted a button. We can just copy and paste this button right here. So let's just right click this one, select copy, and then paste. So let's move it beside the summary statistics. Let's see if they are symmetrical. Alright, I guess we can move it a little bit higher. I see, I guess the first one was the right position. Alright, now let's edit the text as our box plot. Okay, and also don't forget to assign the right macro. That's the box plot macro. Click OK. There you go. So let's see if it's working perfectly. Click the box plot. Choose the column range. That's our 10-year column. Click OK. Choose the result range. Should be here. So let's see. Okay, it's working perfectly fine. Now let's change the chart title. That would be tenure. Alright. And then let's edit the grid lines, or let's remove the grid lines. Alright. So before we go on with other columns, let me just explain how we can interpret these box plot. So here we have whiskers. These are whiskers, and this one is the box. Alright, the whiskers represent the max and the minimum, while for the box plot, first is the quartile 1. So this is the first quartile. This line in the middle, well, it's not actually in the middle, but in between the box, this is what you call the median. And this X here is our mean. And this part here, this is our third quartile. So let's talk about what it means. If you look at the box plot, the median is very close to the first quartile. This means that there are more lower values compared to high values. That's basically what it means. Anyways, after we are done with other box plots, we can compare these box plots with each other in order to find correlation between variables. So let's move on to the other box plots. Let's go to the next column. That would be our calls handled. So select calls handled column range. Choose the result range. Let's change the title. And remove the grid lines. Next is our AHT. So let's select the column range for AHT. Click OK. Choose the result range. Let's change the title. This is AHT. And let's remove the grid lines. Okay, so probably you're wondering why we have these two uh, 2 points or dots here. These dots represent outliers. Outliers are abnormal values in a dataset, but not all outliers are coding errors or encoding errors, I mean. So, in order to confirm that, you have to talk to your stakeholders in order to um, check the data accuracy, because some outliers are also associated with special conditions. So in my case, I'm going to include this because I presumed that these outliers are associated with special conditions. Now let's go on to the queue time. So select the queue time column range, click OK, choose the result range. Change the title. Remove the grid lines. Okay, and last one is our customer satisfaction. Change the title and remove the grid lines. Alright, now let's compare these box plots to the other box plots. Let's use the customer satisfaction as our um, main point or main subject, let's say. So as you can see, there are more lower values for our customer satisfaction. Now let's compare these values to our queue time. For the queue time, there are more higher values. So that simply means the longer the queue time, the lower the satisfaction rate. So you can see that there is a bit of correlation between these two variables. Now let's move on to another factor. Alright, let's talk about the AHT. So maybe I can just copy this and paste it here to compare their charts. Alright, so here it simply says the lower or the shorter the AHT, the lower the customer satisfaction rate. As you can see, it seems to be not related, or I mean, there is no correlation between the two. Because if there is, or normally, if there is shorter AHT, that means it only took you a short time to resolve an issue or a problem with the customer, if the customer had a problem, then that would mean that the customer is gonna likely give you um, a good satisfaction rate, not a lower satisfaction rate. So I can say that based on this comparison, there is no correlation between these two variables. Now let's go on to our calls handled. So for the calls handled and our customer satisfaction, um, the charts represent higher call volumes is equal to lower satisfaction rate. Well, there is a bit of correlation between the two, but I think there should also there should also be another variable. Uh, there should also be another variable that would link these calls handled, higher call volumes. Like let's say, um, what's the cost of these higher call volumes that also cost the lower customer satisfaction, like that. So I think there must be another variable that uh, that would make up these correlation. Now let's move on to another variable, that's the tenure. So for the comparison of tenure and customer satisfaction, I think there's also a bit of correlation. It simply means lower tenure is equal to lower satisfaction rate. So the shorter the agent has been working in the company, the lower the experience he has, or the shorter the experience he has. So that's probably the reason why they also get lower satisfaction. But uh, just like the case in the call volumes, I think there is another factor that should be involved in order to make up this correlation.